So today, I would like to talk to you about the topic on going to the dentist's office for the first time. I know many of us have been to the dentist before, we've mostly grown up and gone there, but I've noticed that sometimes people are still actually afraid of going to the dentist. And I've also taken notice that children are often afraid of going to the dentist too. So I wanted to take the time out to give you some ideas that might help you make going to the dentist a much more positive experience for your children. And I think it's important that you teach them while they're young. This way it can help them feel more comfortable when it's time to go to the dentist. My first suggestion would be to set up and make your appointment for your child to see the dentist, but don't bring them in the day of the appointment. Instead, you should try to, negotiate and arrange for a way to bring your child there before, just so they could take in the environment, meet the staff, meet the dentist, meet the dental hygienist, see the chair that they're going to be sitting in. So they're going to realize it won't be so intimidating, they'll have already been there, and it will help them by the time that the appointment comes. Your child will be worry-free and they won't mind going at all. That's a tip that I thought you should try. Another tip that I have would be to not make the appointment in the afternoon. Actually, it would be better if you made the appointment sometime in the morning between 8 and 12, and it's important that you feed your child first. If you don't do that and then they're sitting in the waiting room, you know how kids can get. They can get antsy when they're hungry and they'll complain that they just want to eat something. So before, going to the appointment, make sure you feed them first. This way when it's time for the appointment, they could just focus on that and they won't be worried about being hungry and nagging you. Another thing that you might find to be helpful is if you've already had a positive experience yourself going to the dentist, is relay that story to your child. Tell them. This way they can listen to you, hear how you are okay, and they could say, oh, okay, my parents went to the dentist and they were fine, so that means if I go, I'll be okay too. So I think that could be a good idea. It would help build your child's confidence and they won't mind going to the dentist. One thing I'd like to add is I actually know this family who will threaten their kid with going to the dentist as a form of punishment, and now I do not recommend doing that at all. So what happens with this one particular family is if their child is acting up or misbehaving, they immediately yell at him and say, now don't you do that. If you keep acting like that, you know what's going to happen. We're going to bring you to the dentist. And now that's making their child so afraid they're never going to want to go to the dentist. So I wouldn't recommend doing something like that because you're basically instilling the fear in your child and they're not going to want to go. Upon selecting which office to go to, you might notice that there's more than one dentist that's around. So there's nothing wrong with actually interviewing around, if you will, and seeing which place would be the best match or the best suited for your child's needs. So after you do that, you could think to yourself, okay, well, if my kid is this particular way and this office seems to accommodate them, then that's the one I'm going to pick. Or you could actually, see for yourself, maybe it'll turn out that one place seems to be specifically geared towards working with children. So maybe that will make you feel more comfortable. So either of those options is fine when trying to select which office to go to. Another important tip would be for parents to practice what they preach. Don't just tell your kid what to do. The best thing would be if you practice good hygiene yourself and lead by a good example. So you should be flossing, using Listerine, brushing every day. This way your child will see you and they'll copy your behavior and they'll develop and keep this good habit as they grow up. So that sums up my tips and pointers to try to help you to get your child to have a more pleasant experience when going to the dentist. So I've shared with you a variety of tips and strategies. Hopefully you have some ideas that you could use that will help your child not feel nervous when it's time to go to the dentist, and they'll hopefully have built up their confidence when it's time that they have to go. So I think if you follow my tips and when it's time for your child to go to the dentist, they will have a positive experience and they will also have a big smile on their face.